Next up, we have a presentation from West African gold explorer Castle Minerals with the ticker code CDT. To tell us more, we are joined by Executive Chairman Stephen Stone. Good afternoon, Stephen.
Thank you, Jane. Good afternoon, everybody, and I'm looking forward to presenting the Castle story to you. Castle is a junior explorer based in Perth, but primarily focused on exploring for gold in West Africa and specifically in the north of Ghana. West Africa is probably what we call now Discovery Central. It's the place to go to if you're looking for to make nice gold deposits, and I'll talk a bit more about the prolific number of discoveries that have been made in recent years. Northern Ghana, it's not like Southern Ghana, which is compared as often spoken about as a mature area. Northern Ghana is a new frontier, very much akin to the darling of the West African market at the moment, which is Côte d'Ivoire. So Castle's got a market cap of about 8 million. It's got about 3.3 million in cash, so it's well cashed up to continue through with its exploration programs. We're actually drilling, so it's timely that we're talking today. We're actually drilling two of our projects right now. One's called Kipali and the other one's called Candia. And that whole West African space, you've heard from the Soto today, it's really hotting up. A lot of the mid-tiers are positioning themselves on the register of the juniors, and I think we can expect to see a lot of M&A activity during the year as they try to put their foot on some of the many emerging discoveries in this very interesting area. So I said it was Discovery Central. There's probably been more discoveries of plus 2 million ounces gold deposits made in West Africa than anywhere else in the world. There's a lot of operating mines. There's more gold produced there than there is in Australia and Canada. So it's a great place to be. Our two projects, and we're lucky that we've actually got what we can call two flagships, Kipali and Candia, have been discovered by Castle, and we're busily working them up. And we've been doing a number of programs in the last 12 months that have just shown these to be really good, solid, bona fide discoveries. So just a bit about my background, because I was the CEO of Azuba Resources, and which is in and we discovered the Kunchi and Julie deposits, which are surrounded by Castle's ground up there in northern Ghana. And I took those from nothing to about 2.5 million ounces. And it's important to note that a lot of this ground here is soil covered, and so it's not straightforward. There's no outcrops to for you to easily go and find these deposits. So you've got to know what you're doing. You've got to put yourself in the right structures, and you've got to understand all your geochemistry. And we've got a good track record in having done that, and that's exactly what we're trying to do and replicate at Castle. So the Kipali Gold Project, this is really a brand new West African gold district. Before Castle went there, nobody ever even thought there to look for gold. There was no indication of gold. As you can see on the map on the right, there's actually two greenstone belts that come together. That's really, really unusual, and there's a lot of good structures there. Castle's gone in, worked up a number of prospects, with the main focus being on the Kipali prospect, and we're doing really, really well there right now. So here's a plan of Kipali. So there's some historical results there on the left, and you can see some quite juicy intercepts. So we're following those up with the rig. I think the rig's just actually left Kipali and is going to a northern prospect called Bundi as we speak. We're looking to extend Kipali to the north, to the south, to depth, and also to look for more lodes over to the west. And we're pretty confident we're going to be able to do that. To the north is the Bundi deposit, which I think the rig might well be there right now, and we'll be drilling there again to extend and have known mineralisation to the north, to south, and to depth. So fingers crossed that we're going to get some good results, and we should be reporting those at the end of May, beginning of June. Now, our other flagship is called Candia, and it's in an area which we call Wire East. We've got about 2,000 square kilometres of Birimian greenstones. These are the rocks that you find all the big gold deposits in Ghana and West Africa in. Very similar to the Archean rocks in Western Australia. And so we've got a very good ground position. The focus is on that Candia licence there, where we've got two prospects called the 4,000 and 8,000 zone. And the Candia sits on actually a 16-kilometre structure that all along it has got lots of patches of anomalism. And those two zones are really coming up quite well. I was there literally about 3 weeks ago, and they're absolutely riddled with artisanal workings, which is always a good sign that there's a lot of gold there. So the rig will, once it's finished at Bundi, will move straight over to Candia and we'll start drilling Candia in June. So we should have results from that flowing through late June into July. On the corporate side, we've actually crunched the capital recently. So we've got 116 million shares on issue. We've got $3.3 million in cash. So a very, very undemanding enterprise value. We did a capital raising through Euros, and that's brought in a number of interesting high net worth investors and small family offices that have all had previous success investing in West African companies. So we hope to replicate that success for those shareholders as well. Pretty much a new board. I've been there for several years, but Matthew Horgan joined the board late last year. Matthew's an up-and-coming young executive, full-time at Bannerman Energy. And Brian Thomas joined us very recently. He was formerly the chairman of Azure and oversaw the $1.5 billion takeover of that company by an SQM and Hancock joint venture. So company really well positioned. We've got the cash, we've got a very modest market cap. We're drilling, and really, if you want to be in the gold space and if you want to be in West Africa, then you really ought to consider quite seriously putting Castle in your portfolio. And that's the story. Thank you very much.
Stephen, given the convergence of major greenstone belts and regional structures in your license areas, how does this geological setting influence your exploration priorities and methodologies?
Well, it's absolutely really important. The former management of Castle sort of saw this convergence and said, well, look, we really ought to go and look for gold there. I mean, why hasn't anybody looked for it? And they went there and it was completely soil covered. There was no old workings, but they did some pretty thorough geochemistry and they came up with some anomalism and they drilled that. So it's probably similar to the setting of Chiraco's Afema project right in the southeast corner of Côte d'Ivoire, where they've got a couple of greenstone belts merging there that come out of Ghana, actually. So, yeah, I mean, you'd have to go there and look for gold, and lo and behold, the gold is there. It really is a new district now. We just need to get, it's early days, and we just need to find out, what the endowment is there, and that's exactly what we're doing now.
And for those who are not familiar with West Africa, what's it like working in Ghana?
Well, I've worked in Ghana a long time, and I call it Africa 101. There's 54 countries in Africa. They're not all the same. Ghana is one of the most stable politically. It's a very safe jurisdiction. It's got a Westminster parliamentary system and English justice system. So it's very different to a lot of the Francophile countries that surround it, and it hasn't had any issues that you've seen in Mali or Burkina. It's completely different. It's got a reasonably good fiscal scheme there in terms of free carried interests and royalties. It's reasonable, and it's just pretty easy to get things done. It's got a history of over 100-year history of mining. It's got some of the world's biggest gold mines there, Newmont, AngloGold Ashanti, Goldfields there. So everything that you want is there in country. It's very, very mining friendly.
And so how does the existing infrastructure in Ghana's Upper West region, such as the sealed international highway, the hydro dam, grid power, and the commercial airport, sort of facilitate your exploration and potential development activities?
Well, that's a really interesting question because the northern part of Ghana is very poor. It's where a lot of your World Vision money goes, but it does have good infrastructure. As you said, it's got a great highway, it's got a commercial airport, it's got water. It's actually got everything that we need. It's not densely populated like the south, and the landscape is pretty flat, pretty much like the just the back blocks of Kalgoorlie, actually. So it's a really, really easy place for us to work, and there's a lot of skilled people in Ghana who love to come up to the north and work there on our project.
Are there any logistical challenges that you anticipate in sort of scaling up operations in this region?
No, not at all. Obviously, when I was running Azuma, we were undertaking feasibility studies, and the new owners of Iberia have taken that to the next stage. And I don't think anybody's got any particular challenges at all in building and operating 150,000 ounce per annum mine now. From all I can see, when I was there, there's plenty of water, plenty of power, and the government was very, very much behind that development in that region. There's no other industry up there.
And what initiatives has Castle Minerals undertaken to engage with local communities and stakeholders in Ghana?
Well, I do have a slide, but I didn't put it in today. But obviously, everybody talks about ESG, but your social license with the local communities is absolutely important. You can have all the boxes ticked with everybody else, but if the local people aren't behind you, then it makes it very difficult. So I've just been out there. I spent a lot of time with the individual villages and the chiefs there, and what we call the paramount chiefs and all the district executives. It's absolutely really important that these people engage. We employ the youth there, employ the males and the females as well, as much as we can. And look, as I said, this is where your World Vision money goes. A lot of these villages don't actually have potable water. So we've got the drill rig there, so we'll put a hole in for them and put either mechanical or a hand pump, which can make a huge difference to the health and well-being of those little villages.
And Steve, as you mentioned through your presentation, you are right. There has been a lot of M&A activity in gold and in West Africa. So can you tell us a little bit about your neighbours that surround your tenements?
Well, at the Kapali project, we're pretty much on our own. We're the only people who are there. But at the Candia project, that actually runs northeast up into what we call the Azuma's Julie deposit. And there's about 1.2 million ounces that have been delineated in that area. So they're our neighbours there. And quite modestly, I discovered most of that gold. Also in that region, much further to the northeast, is the Namdini project that was discovered and was developed and is now in production by Cardinal Mining. That's a 5.1 million ounce. And it's important to remember that when I first went to this area 10 or 15, 12 years ago, people said there's no gold up there. And that's quite not the case. It's got the right rocks, the right structures. You've just got to know how to find it.
So, Steve, you essentially have a new board now. You've consolidated your capital with the backing of Euros Hartley's, who has raised over $3 million and brought in some investors and shareholders that have a lot of West African investment success. And look, that's a major refresh by any measure. With the gold price where it is, you must be very excited about what's coming for the months ahead. Can you just let the investors know what they should be looking forward to?
Yeah, so Jane, the program that we're doing at Kipali is 23 holes, 2,500 meters. And that's spread across the Kipali prospect, the Bundi, and some actually interesting artisanal workings that have suddenly appeared to the south, which is always a good sign. And then when we move the rig over to Candia, we're doing about 12 holes, that's 1,500 meters. So it's a completely separate program altogether. As I said, I was out there 3 weeks ago just to look at the ground to see where we're going to be drilling to make sure everything's okay. I had a good chat to the artisanal miners there, and they're very happy. They're finding a lot of gold. They only mine down to 10 or 20 meters, so they're not really a nuisance to us at all. But yeah, there's obviously a lot of gold in that area.
Stephen, exciting times for Castle. We look forward to hosting you in the future.